Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com. And I'm finally back. Wanted to make a video about this Kansas City Chiefs versus Seattle Seahawks game before it became completely irrelevant. I wanted to make a video earlier this week, but for those of you that don't know, this is my first time back home from the military in 7 months, and I just kind of wanted to put all of that first before making any videos. But it's Wednesday at this point and I haven't made a video yet, and I really wanted to make one because I have some thoughts about this game that I wanted to share with you guys. At least for this game, it's pretty much all positive thoughts. The Chiefs have been playing bad the couple games straight up, nail biters with the Texans and the Broncos. Those just were not games that the Chiefs should have been in late in the fourth quarter and overtime, by the way. I mean, the Texans took them to overtime. That's not something that you want to see from a team we consider to be a Super Bowl contender. The Seahawks were the best opponent that the Chiefs were playing over the last 3 games, all right? And they went out there, and the game was never in doubt. They didn't necessarily blow them out, but the game was never in doubt. They were never in danger. It kind of felt like all they needed to win that game was 3 touchdowns, and it just took a while to get those 3 touchdowns, but they got them, and they won the game by double digits. They won the game ultimately by 14 points. The Seahawks did scrape together a garbage time touchdown. Otherwise, the Chiefs would have won 24-3. There's not really much to complain about in the game. Yes, the offense operated a little slower than we're used to seeing them, but I do really feel like that was because of the opponent. And the Seahawks are a decent team. They're not great. They're not horrible. They're a decent opponent. The Chiefs went out there. They beat them by double digits. That's all you can ask for. The offense didn't have a monster game by any means. Patrick Mahomes was 16 of 28 for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he did have the 1 rushing touchdown, and he made a very athletic play to find the end zone. I mean, he literally, Jamal Charles style, used his hand to just push himself into the end zone while he was falling onto the ground. He easily could have been short of the marker. He could have gave himself up before the marker, or the pylon rather. But no, the dude laid full out and got that touchdown to pretty much seal the game for the Chiefs. That's an MVP play right there for the MVP. And barring disaster over the next, 1 or 2 games? Sorry, I feel like I should know this. 2 games. Broncos and Raiders. Mahomes is the MVP. I mean, there's some other guys that can make a compelling argument, but when you look at the numbers, the season that the Chiefs have had, Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. I mean, I just don't think there's any debating it. Jalen Hurts is probably the next closest, and his passing numbers don't stack up next to Mahomes's. And even if you include rushing stats, Patrick Mahomes has more total yards than Jalen Hurts. So to me, the argument isn't very close. And also, Jalen Hurts' status for the last couple games of the season is up in the air as well. So if he's missing games, then this award is Mahomes' to lose. Other notable players on offense in this game, Travis Kelce had 6 receptions for 113 yards, adds another 100-yard game to his amazing season. And Jerick McKinnon continues to get hot for this offense. He looks like a major part of this offense in the stretch run, kind of like he did last year for this team. He is really coming on as of lately. He had 5 carries for 7 yards in the rushing game, but he made his money in the receiving game with 3 receptions for 31 yards and a touchdown. The main lead back for this game was Isaiah Pacheco, who had 14 carries for 58 yards. That's good for 4.1 yards per carry. Kadarius Toney also had a really nice touchdown in this game on a jet sweep. He made a bunch of guys miss. He looks healthy again. Pray to God that he can stay healthy and those hamstrings don't tighten up on him again, because if he can stay healthy, he is going to be a major weapon for this team, and I expect the same for McCole Hardman when he gets back from injury. But man, if you could have Hardman and Toney both healthy at the same time, this offense gets really dangerous. Those are 2 guys that you can break off a big one at any moment. On top of that, you got Kelce and Smith-Schuster in the middle of the field, your heavy hitters that can kind of make those physical, tough catches for you. And those guys are not, incapable of making a huge play either. Juju Smith-Schuster has been one of the best receivers after contact in this league for quite a while now. He's been able to turn small receptions into big gains. I believe he's the only player I don't remember what the stat was, but he's one of the only players in the league to have like two 90-plus yard plays in his career. So, I mean, he is capable of making explosive plays. And then you guys are familiar with Travis Kelce and his ability. So I really like the fact that this offense really seems to be coming together. This game was also a get-right game for the defense. I mean, they looked incredible against the Seahawks. I mean, they were getting all kinds of stops. One guy that I was very impressed with was George Karlaftis. I've been tough on GK this year. I've always kind of been down on him as a pure pass rusher. But he's really put it together going down the stretch, and his ability to bat passes is elite. I mean, he leads the league in batted down passes this year. Like, that is insane for a rookie. And it's not like he's the lengthiest guy in the world. I've mentioned that before. He's not a super long guy, but he's able to get his hands up in the air and make athletic plays to bat those passes down. And I've been really impressed with him. He's been adding almost a sack per week over the last several weeks, and that's something that this defense really needs, is more sack production. And George Karlaftis is bringing it as of lately. Nick Bolton also had a dominant game. He had 18 total tackles in this game. Really didn't let a bunch of guys get by him. You could pick a few plays from coverage, of course, as you always can when watching Nick Bolton on tape. But for the most part, was keeping guys in front of him and making tackles and stopping the Seahawks from making any big plays. Chris Jones also added another sack. He's up to 12 sacks this season. He probably won't break that 15.5 sack mark that he made a couple years ago. Or in 2018, but this is on pace to be one of his better seasons, really. He's been the best defensive tackle in football this year, in my opinion. I mean, Aaron Donald, he's been in and out with injuries. He hasn't been as dominant as Chris Jones. His pass rush win rate isn't as good as Chris Jones's this year. Chris Jones is having an amazing season, even though he might not set a new career high in sacks. Another player I was happy to see do well was Juan Thornhill. Not only did he have an interception in this game, but he seemed to be making the right plays, being in all the right places at the right time, something that he struggled with a lot this season. Was also a sound tackler in this game. It's another thing he struggled with. He's had a rough year. He's had a rough go of things really since that ACL tear back in his rookie season, but he's really coming into his own here down the stretch, which is great. You know, the more players that can show you that they're ready to play down the stretch of the season and into the postseason, the better, because it's all hands on deck this time of the year. And we've been needing to see some positive steps from this Chiefs defense. And against the Seahawks, it was a positive step. The Seahawks, Geno Smith, he's been having a decent year. He's been one of the better quarterbacks this year, and they were able to keep him in check. DK Metcalf only had one catch in the entire second half, had 7 receptions for 81 yards the entire game. You didn't let him dominate you. You didn't let him beat you a bunch of times for these big catches down the field and a bunch of touchdowns. Like, that was a positive step for this defense. Could the Chiefs' run defense have been a little bit better in this game? Yes, they allowed the Seahawks to rush for 133 yards. Kenneth Walker had over 100 yards. But Kenneth Walker has been amazing this season for the Seahawks as a rookie. And you also have to take into account that last drive in garbage time for the Seahawks to get a touchdown on the board. The game was pretty much over. And in the end, the Chiefs held the Seahawks to only 2 of 14 on third downs. The Chiefs weren't very great on third down themselves, but they did enough to win the game, and they still scored 24 points. And the Seahawks were going for it, it seemed like, on every single fourth down. They were only 3 of 6 on fourth down. The Chiefs made a lot of good fourth down stops in this game, and I thought one of the turning points was that George Karlaftis batted down pass. I think it was on fourth down in the first half, because had the Seahawks converted that, they might have scored on that drive and made things a little bit more interesting. But I'm really impressed with this Chiefs defense. Even though the numbers kind of tell you the Seahawks had a decent game, it really felt like the Chiefs weren't letting them get anything all game. They weren't able to score points. They kept them out of the red zone. That's another thing this defense has struggled with. They've been one of the worst red zone defenses in the league, really, since Steve Spagnuolo took over. And, they had a good game. Like, against the Houston Texans, if you're watching these games, or instead of looking at just the box score, the box score will tell you that the Chiefs defense actually did a great job against the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans averaged like less than 4 yards per play on offense in that game, but it still kind of felt like the Texans were getting whatever they wanted in that game. And this game, it didn't feel like the Seahawks were getting whatever they wanted. It felt like the Chiefs defense was in control. So you got to go a little bit beyond the numbers, the eye test, and the eye test tells you that this Chiefs defense improved against the Seattle Seahawks. And then my last note for this game, a very positive one, No turnovers for the Chiefs. The Chiefs had 9 straight games with a turnover going into this game. They've been playing sloppy football a lot this year. Their turnover differential is one of the worst in the league. But in this game, no turnovers. That's a positive. If you can clean that up, this Chiefs team can beat anyone they want. They can also lose to anyone they want if they turn the ball over, but they can beat anybody they want if they can just play clean football. And that's what they did against the Seahawks. You see what happened. They won by double digits. They're 12-3. Got 2 more games left. Division rivals, Broncos and Raiders. They got to try to close this season out strong and hope the Bills lose one more, hopefully against the Bengals, so they can get the 1 seed. And it'll be an interesting next couple weeks, but important thing is that the Chiefs won. They play the Broncos on New Year's Day. I'm going to be watching that one from home finally. It's going to be really nice to see. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this one. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this Chiefs-Seahawks game. Anything you agree, disagree with me, let me know in the comments. Would love to get some dialogue going with you guys. But yeah, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. And I will see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs!